lose sleep at night? Grab your pillow tight. Do you struggle to find why Han and Luke had to die? Are you just a mess? Does Hollywood leave you stressed? Because their sequels are more important than fan requests. Hold on to your chair, cause Talking Poop takes you there. You might have to change into some new underwear. Talking Poop.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Talking Poop. I'm here today with two very special people, two people that I've been trying to make come together for a very long time. My number one guy over here, Bryan, the Machine Gun! And Alicia, the Trash Wench, Irino!
I feel like we should be a tag team wrestling duo.
And I'm just Jason, and we talked about this last week. You guys both have like super cool nicknames. And I don't have one, and it's really upsetting me.
Yeah, again, Bryan Gunn. It's fine.
Bryan the Machine Gun!
Yeah, don't need that part at all.
And Alicia the Trench Wench Irino.
Thanks for saying it's cool, though. I feel cool.
Jason, unnecessary nickname maker, Bromley.
Well, like, you have a super cool one that can't be beat. Alicia's got, like, so many, like, whore burger, trash fry, cunt fuckface, stinky booger lady, like so many different ones.
She's earned them all.
Yeah.
I'm also purple yogurt slinger.
The purple yogurt slinger. I almost forgot that one. Yeah.
Yeah. You should be Bert. You should
You
just
know what?
be Bert.
How dare you? How dare you? You know that I'm sensitive about my middle name, and then you just put it out there on the waves. You know what? I don't even want a nickname anymore. I'm Jason Bromley. Welcome to Talking Poop. Today, we're going to be talking about just a small little subject, the Game of Thrones.
Wiener, 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 wiener.
And now, every time you hear the theme song, you'll think of that.
That's from South Park, though. I can't take that.
Oh, man, just when I was so proud of you and I thought you were all original and shit.
I can't unhear it, though, so even when I hear the intro every
Because
time.
normally any song about wieners, Alicia's like, she definitely made that.
Yeah, I mean, you've made a lot of songs about wieners, so...
Yeah. Speaking of, I gotta finish a couple.
Wieners?
Yes.
I gotta finish sucking off these wieners before we can finish this podcast.
I gotta pay rent somehow.
All right, so Game of Thrones. We got a lot to cover here, so we should get going. I've heard there's
where do we even begin?
I've heard there's a book. We should begin there.
Okay.
With the books that came out first, or like the compendium of knowledge that has now come out?
Jesus Christ.
Probably
I would say the books
came
that like started it.
Let me just put out on Jump Street that I'm a basic bitch when it comes to Game of Thrones. I came in like season 4 and then caught up. And I still can't really watch it without Alicia sitting there telling me what is going on. Because I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, who's fucking who now? And what is going on? Because the only reason I even started Game of Thrones is because I heard there was a show on that had tits and dragons and fighting. And I said, you know what?
Yeah, check.
All my favorite things. Check. I'm on board. So I started watching
used to have to pause it all the time. Like, you would be like, wait. I can see it on your face. You wouldn't have to say anything. You'd just be like squinty-eyed, just like, and I'd pause it and be like, all right, before we continue, because I don't want you asking me during the show.
Yeah, no, like a 1-hour episode of Game of Thrones took me several hours to get through.
I got into Game of Thrones back in high school when my friends gave me the first 3 books were out at the time. And
Do you know? Yeah, Alicia's never read a book, so. All right, do you know when did this whole thing start? When did the books come out? The first one?
Late 90s, I believe. Don't quote me exactly on that, but it was late 90s, early 2000s. He came out with the first book. The reason why his characters are so much younger in the books is because originally he had planned to have like a 10-year, like 8-year gap in between some of the books, and then he realized he couldn't do that. So the first book starts out, and they're all really young. Then he came out with the second and third one, and then there was a big gap between 3 and 4 because he realized, I don't really know where I'm going. I can't do that jump ahead in time like I wanted to, so I gotta rewrite a whole bunch of stuff to make this work. And there was several years in between book 3 and book 4. And then there was 5 or 6 years in between book 4 and book 5, and it's been 8 years since book 5 came out, and we are still waiting.
And this is like the last book is season 8-ish.
There's still
right?
2 more books to come out in this, at least 2 more. Of course, the last one, what happens a lot of times in these big fantasy series, is the last book, wrapping everything up, gets so big that they have to cut it in 2 because it's too many pages to bind. It's too many pages for the publisher to actually like safely bind where it won't just fall apart once you open it up.
They have to do that to my dick too, split it in 2 because it's so big.
It's huge. It hurts people.
Yeah.
Splits
Yeah.
them in 2.
Mhm.
And the last book might have to be split into 2, and he hasn't. I mean, there's no update on the 6th book. There is no like timetable for it. That's part of his publishing deal. George R. R. Martin said, "You can publish my books, but no one gets to put a date on when I have to turn stuff in," which doesn't fly unless you're already like a big name author. So he was able to get that concession from his publishing company, and now he just abuses it. I personally don't think we're ever going to see him finish the series. We might get book 6 out of him. I've heard he's working on it. I don't think we're ever going to see the end of this series in book form. He's not.
Do you think he's gonna die before it comes out?
I don't know. But I honestly don't think he has the drive to finish it anymore.
I think he's hoping that he dies before because he doesn't want to do it. Like, if somebody came along and like finished your shit on TV form, would you even care anymore? Like, what's the point of finishing the book now?
You can write an alternate ending. Like, you can gauge how fans react to the ending from the show, and if they're like, "Fuck this show, it's bullshit, I hate this, blah blah blah," he can write a different ending. He can make it completely different. And then guess what? Then they're going to have to refilm.
Don't you think that's like the bitch out way to do it though?
Oh, absolutely. But I mean,
Unless he can come up with a far superior ending.
Well, he sat down when HBO realized they were going to overtake him. They sat down and they were like, "You need to tell us like how this all wraps up."
How do you think that went? Do you think they held him down to a table and like pulled his pants down and they like held a knife to his balls?
They like gave him a little sharp tickle.
it reminds me of that Lord of the Rings meme where Frodo's on the wagon with Gandalf and he's like, "All right, you keep your secrets."
But apparently he was able to give them like, this is the vague idea of how I want it to end. But he's not an outliner. He doesn't plan ahead. I mean, obviously, that's why he's not finishing anything. But like, it put him in this bind of he knew the general details of like, this is how I want the series to end, but he didn't know all the specifics. So what we're getting from HBO is going to be original this last season.
Right.
So we think. I trust nobody. Since watching Game of Thrones, I just don't trust anyone ever. You can't. And I don't get attached to anyone ever because they're going to die. Anyway.
Like in your real life, that's how you treat people now?
Yeah. George R. R. Martin.
Keeping it GOT.
That was like everyone knew if you hadn't read the books, but then you started watching the first season, you were like, oh, like Ned is not the main character because he's played by Sean Bean and he gets killed and everything, so he's not going to make it. But reading the books, you were like, you picked up the first book and you're like, oh, Ned's the main character.
Right.
And then he gets whacked at the end of the first one. You're like, oh, okay, I think Rob is the main character now. And you believe that for like a book and a half, and then you're like, I don't know who this book's about.
I don't even know where we are anymore.
You don't really know who it's about because you're afraid everyone's going to die.
I tried to read the books. I bought the first one. So I had already watched all, like, everything. And then I'm like, you know what? I like reading. Reading's cool. It's, And so I was like, I want to give this a test. And I bought the book and I took it home and I was like,
no fucking pictures!
I thought there was supposed to be a hungry caterpillar in here somewhere. And so I was like, this is what I do with books. I'll open to like the middle, just read one sentence and then close it, and just to like have something to look forward to. And just sometimes, not with everything, not with Harry Potter. I would never do that. But since I already knew like what was going to happen, I was like, I want to see where the middle lands, like what part of the show is in the middle of the first book. And I opened it, and the first thing I read was, and his bowels had turned to water. And I just slowly closed it, and I was like, what part of the show is that? And I just kind of put it back on the bookshelf. I was like, I'll come back to you. And then my bowels, in fact, had turned to water. So then I had to go to the bathroom.
Which is a daily occurrence.
But you should take books with you.
I should, but why take books when I can Facebook?
Now you know when you get a message from Alicia on Facebook, her butt is on the toilet.
Yep, on fire. I'm just kidding. Mhm.
There's tears and sweat. Okay, here's my theory on Game of Thrones is that Harry Potter finished and everybody was so fucking upset and they had nothing in their lives to carry them on. So they then found this series and they're like, this one's so far from being finished. We can start reading this and it'll be our new Harry Potter.
This one will never finish.
This one will never finish. And they're starting to do a show on it so we can watch it, we can read it, and it can go for our entire lives just like Harry Potter did. And it can fill that hole that Harry Potter left in us. What
Jason,
say you
did you
guys
ever
on
watch
that?
Harry Potter?
No, I fucking hate Harry Potter. You know this. But you are a Harry Potter dork. I know that Brian over here gets his wand out whenever he can.
House Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm-
like a bitch would be.
Hey, what are you, Hufflepuff?
Did you go on Pottermore yet?
Well, yeah, obviously.
Nice. I just did that at Christmas. It was my Christmas gift to me. Trash people can't afford real presents.
If you
so.
if you want to be a writer, you study J.K. Rowling. Despite what
And-
Jason says, those are some of the best written books out there.
And I have just checked out on my own podcast. Like, I might as well not be.
See you later.
I'll let
I have
you
a
two.
question.
Surprise! This one's about Harry Potter.
Jason, when did you get in? Like, how did you get into Game of Thrones? When did you get into it?
I literally,
The show.
like, people at work were saying, there's this show, and it has titties in every episode, and there's dragons and fire and sword fighting and shit, and you should check it out. And I was like, I do like all those things. And so at the time, I had a security guard job, and I could just, like, sit back and watch movies at, like, when it got dark outside.
At your work?
Yeah.
Is this the job I'm thinking of?
This is after me and Brian over here got fired for watching movies at a job. This was another job where I was watching.
Wait, was this at the hospital?
No. I was
Oh.
terminated from the hospital for watching movies. And then I went to another security officer job and I was watching movies. But anyway, that's not important. What's important is that I started watching Game of Thrones. I had no idea it was even a book. I just thought it was like a new cool show. And
Jason watched Passion of the Christ and didn't know it was based off a book, so...
I was like, this guy sure got the shaft. Yeah, so no, but I have never ever watched a show where I was like, this show fucking sucks. And everybody was like, no, you just gotta watch the first 19 episodes. Once you get through the first 19 hours
It's so
of it, it
fucking
gets
true.
really good.
God, it's so true.
See, and I didn't even watch the show for several seasons. I don't think I watched the show for the first 4 seasons of it because I was so diehard. Like, no, I'm going to stick with the
Me
books.
too.
I want to see how the books end, and then I will check the show out afterwards. But then, as soon as I was like, oh, the show's going to overtake these books, and when I might never get to see the ending in written form, I was like, okay, I'll watch the show. And maybe because I already knew where things were going, but I liked it right from the get-go. Although it was hard for me to keep all the characters separate because like no one had all these like traumatic shit happen to them. So there was a bunch of like white kids running around with brown hair, and I was like, "What's your fucking name again?"
I don't know how the fuck you can read the book and know who anybody is because there's so many fucking characters.
Imagination.
I know, but if I read a book that has more than 3 characters, I'm out.
So you've never read a book.
So you couldn't read one
So
fish,
you would
two
like
fish,
the novelized
two fish,
version
red
of
fish,
Castaway,
blue fish.
is what you're saying.
Actually, when he started talking to Wilson, I started getting confused. I was like,
Jesus.
wait, is there another dude on this island? And then I saw the movie and I was like, it's a fucking ball.
So what was I gonna ask B-Rye about so you started watching it like season 4?
Once season 4 was already out. I mean, I caught up. I watched.
Yeah.
That's what I did too. I started season 4 and then I binged forward. And in my binging, like every episode, I was like, this is the last episode of the show I'm going to watch. This show fucking, it's kind of cool, but it's really fucking long and boring. And then like something would happen at the end and I was like, okay, goddamn it, I'm just going to watch the first 7 minutes of the next episode to see how they tie up what just happened. And then I wound up watching the whole episode. And then it's the most frustrating, amazing show I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, so that means
Feels
it's well written. Like, keeps you coming back.
Yeah, no, it totally
The
keeps
very
you
first
coming back.
episode, I think it's the very first episode, and they just push Bronn out the window. It's like, bye.
Oh yeah,
And you're like, oh, we're murdering kids in this show. Like, okay.
yeah.
That takes like
You're fucking your sibling and throwing kids out the window. Maybe I'll watch the next one.
I know. Like,
So,
I'm sorry, the queen is sleeping with her brother, the king's bodyguard. Like, how do you think that's not a great show?
They weren't sleeping. They were fucking
They
butts.
were fucking.
So I was very much against watching it. I think just because I was angsty and I was like too cool for school, and I was like, that's too mainstream for me. Like, everybody's watching this Game of Thrones shit, whatever. And I worked with this guy who just would not shut the fuck up about Game of Thrones. Every goddamn day was, are you gonna watch it? Are you gonna watch it? And like season 4 had already started or had just wrapped up something. And I was just like, no, I'm not gonna watch your stupid show. And he's telling me what it's all about. He doesn't tell me that there's a lot of incest and there's a lot of murder and just all boobies, and you can sometimes see peen.
Even for
and
HBO, that show is like very graphic with its use of nudity.
Dude, I am still disturbed because out of all the great boobies I saw on the show, I saw Hordor's dick.
Yeah, that happened.
And that really upset me a lot.
And then, like, I went back and I started watching Sopranos again because it's on Amazon Prime now, so you don't need the HBO subscription. So I was rewatching Sopranos. Like, his main office is a strip club, and there's not as many tits in that show on HBO as there is in Game of Thrones, like the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
they throw them in there at every excuse.
I ended up finally just like, I'll be honest, I torrented all like 4 seasons. I was like, well, I'm not gonna fucking pay for HBO. This is stupid. Who wants to do that? And so I watched. I started watching the first season. I'm like, this shit is the most boring, long shit ever. It's like when you're falling out of love with somebody and like you still have to fuck them, and you're just like, will it be done? Will it be done? And so then season 3
Me and Bryan are
happened.
both like, I don't know what you mean, but
We're still very much in love.
So season 3 came out, and it just like, I don't know, it's like it instantly got better. And then I was like way into it. Next thing I knew, I had already finished season 4, and I was like, so like, when's season 5 coming out?
well, I think we can
And-
all agree that the red wedding is when it turns and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna find
And
out where
it's
this
like
goes.
passionate, and you're like, I want to kill every motherfucker in here.
Well, I think it
And-
gets frustrating too, trying to rewatch the old seasons or like watching them when you know you're like, this stuff that's happening to these characters, like this whole first season, it doesn't like really matter that much. Like the war gets kicked off, but all these people aren't even around in a few seasons, so
Yeah.
why should I
can't
care about
watch
them
the
right now?
first 2.
Yeah,
I can't watch the first 2, and I was
and
gonna.
I think that goes back to George R. R. Martin's like poor prior planning, like his poor outlining work. He didn't really know where he was going. You know, he's running with a flashlight in front of him, discovering his own story.
But don't you think that, like, from a writing perspective, like, that was good for him because he
It's
was
his
trying to
pro-
make
it's his
such
process.
an epic
Yeah,
that
his
he
process.
had to, like, not know that someone's going to die and not be important. He had to treat every character
Yeah.
as if it was important so that he could fill this.
Well, he remembered one of the rules, which is, you know, everyone's their own main character, and you need to write them like that. There are no one's a side character in their story, so you have to
There
write
are
everyone like a
no
main
small
character.
parts, only small actors.
And he and he there's 2 types of writers. They say there's pantsers and plotters. And plotters, you know, you outline, you know the ending before you start, you know where you're going. Pantsers are like you fly by the seat of your pants, and that's like textbook George R. R. Martin. He starts working on his drafts before he knows where it's going to lead, and it works for him. But at the same time, it doesn't work for him because now we're sitting here without the last 2 books.
Well, let's talk about him for a minute. Was he a big deal before Game of Thrones? Like, had he written anything?
He was a well-known author for his other fantasy and sci-fi. He was well-known in that community, but he definitely, I mean, Game of Thrones is definitely like his biggest work that brought him the celebrity fame he has now.
And do you think that happened? Like, do you think that when he started Game of Thrones, he was like, I have to make a Tolkien-size epic?
No, I don't think anyone goes into it knowing like, yeah, this might be a fantasy epic, but no one thinks they're going to like reach that level of success, especially in the world of fantasy. It is hard to break through from the fantasy culture, to bring it mainstream and get people into it. Some people hear like, oh, there's magic and there's dragons and all, and they immediately are like, nope, not for me. and it never
Like
you never even get
Jason.
the chance to show him it's a good show.
Do either of you guys know like what the process was of him taking? Did HBO go to him or did he go to HBO?
They came to him. I don't know exactly why, but like they or when, but they came to him and said we would like to turn this into a show.
I'm not sure if it's true or not. I heard that like after Lord of the Rings hit big, every studio was searching for anything that was like an otherworldly.
And now that Game of Thrones is
thing.
ending, they're trying to do the same thing. Like now they want something to fill the void of Game of Thrones. Now that that's going to be off the air after this season,
Right.
and there's a lot of stuff out there that's not very good.
Well, I heard they're doing a prequel series.
They're doing
For Game of Thrones.
They said there's going to be up to like 5 or 6 spin-offs, which is ridiculous.
I feel like it's the whole Star Wars, like even like a Disney type thing where they're just going to milk this motherfucker as much as they can. I don't know if it's going to be any good.
Yeah.
He wrote some prequels, some short story prequels that are set like 100 years before that are really good. He also wrote like a whole compendium. There's a ton of history and like a ton of stories there to work with for any prequel. I mean, his encyclopedia of that world is huge.
Do they even need him though? Really, the writers of the show
they
are
don't
doing George R. R. Martin better than him at this point, don't you think?
In his contract initially, I don't know if it is anymore, but in his contract initially, he got to help write 1 episode per season, and then he would go visit the set. And I know this because I would check out his blog all the time, and he said, "I don't like laptops, so I don't ever write when I'm traveling." And then on his blog, he would be like, "I was in Australia for 30 days on the set of Game of Thrones, and I helped write this episode." And da da da. And you're like, "Hey, did you make any progress on that book?" Like, no, yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah. So do you think that he's just like living the superstar life now and just milking it?
I don't know about milking it. He put in a ton of hard work to get where he is, and he's successful, and that's his. He's doing what he feels he's doing best, and this is his process.
I bet he's writing under a pseudonym so that way he can come out with another like Game of Thrones style series and then be like, "Surprise, motherfucker, it's me."
he's I think he's way more blatant about that. He will post right on his blog and be like, "I'm working on this sci-fi project with this group of authors," and just every single fucking comment is like, "Fuck you, George, finish the series. You're gonna die soon." And I think like because so many people have been like, "You're fat, you're gonna die," he's just giving everyone the middle finger and is like, "Yeah, I'll finish it when I finish it. Go fuck yourselves."
Yeah, but like he really is at a point where he's posts like, "I'm going to In-N-Out Burger for lunch," and they're like, "Fuck you, George.
Yeah.
Get to working on your project."
Yeah,
He's
not
like,
everything that is Gurm related right now. People are like, "Finish the fucking books." Like he could post a picture of like the aftermath of his toilet, and people are like, "Finish your fucking book."
"How dare you stop to take a shit? What do you do all day?" Yeah,
if you want to get really frustrated,
Stress.
watch the interview on YouTube where he interviews Stephen King, and Stephen King's like, "I sit down every day and I work for this many hours, and that's how I do it." And Gurm is like, "That's amazing. I just don't know how you can do that. For me, it's all about when it strikes, and you just see on Stephen King's face, he's just like, "Yeah, you're a piece of shit."
Stephen King should
shit,
just
it worked
finish
for
Game
him,
of Thrones
though.
for him. But I guarantee you, it would be like the best series up until the ending, and then it would fucking suck because Stephen King doesn't know how to write an ending. I'm sorry, Alicia, we're talking about books, and you look so bored. You're like,
No,
"I like the Cat in the Hat."
I got wine. I'm just sitting here spinning my wine, trying to feel fancy.
All right, I got one more question specifically about the books, Brian. How different are the books from the show?
There's actually like whole characters missing, but then it's like I'll look at the book and be like, "Well, I guess like that character's he seems important now, but I guess he's not that important because they didn't even fucking include him in the book." There's a huge subplot missing from book 5, where there was like supposedly another Targaryen that survived that was raising an army and was going to help Daenerys, and like they actually landed in Westeros and like took over a castle, and it's this huge subplot with Tyrion, and he gets involved in all of it, and it doesn't happen at all in the show. But I think because, again, these books are huge and there's a lot going on, mostly the show does it really well, but they just have to condense everything and like try to make it tighter and happen faster. So they do a good job. I think they stay true. And obviously now, as of last season, they're in their own territory. No, there is no book to compare it to. So good on them for not waiting. I was worried that they were going to be like, "Well, we got to wait for the book to come out and then we'll make the season." And we weren't ever going to get it. But they just said, "Fuck it, we're going forward."
Right. So, like, we're both big fans of, like, the Appaloosa series.
Yeah.
But, like, we can so tell the books that were written after him where Robert Parker died.
Right.
And it's not him, and it's still the same characters, the characters we love, and it's still a story like what he would do, but it's just not right. So do you think, are these people on HBO, are these writers hitting it as good as George R.R. Martin?
Yeah, the problem with that is like Robert Parker died. And then this guy tried to like take his characters and continue on writing as if he were Robert Parker. But it's clearly a different voice.
Right.
Whereas HBO established their own characters and voices right from season 1. So I don't think there's like a huge like glitch. Like how these new books, you read them, and you're like, that's absolutely not Robert Parker. I can tell. These characters are doing things he would never have them do. But on the show, they're still staying true to characters. So I don't feel like there's an interruption with this new season.
Are there characters on the show that were not in the book?
Maybe some minor characters that I can't think of off the top of my head, but no major characters. The only thing that's going crazy in the books or in the series right now, and a lot of people have noticed, is the travel time. People they're getting to places in a few hours that should take a few weeks.
Right.
That's tough, you know, when you have this whole season to get a lot of stuff done, and it's like, well, we can't really write 2 episodes of them traveling.
Was Peter Dinklage a dwarf in the book?
Yeah. Tyrion is a dwarf in the book, and man, holy shit, did Peter Dinklage pull that off?
He's amazing.
He's amazing.
Yeah. What's crazy about the Game of Thrones cast is that there was a lot of people that hadn't done a lot of stuff, and then like Lena Headey was like the biggest star in it.
Right.
I think.
Right.
And then now like all of them are huge stars. They've all been in crazy X-Men movies, Star Wars movies.
Right.
Basically, the thing in Hollywood right now is like anybody we can get from Game of Thrones, put them in our shit. Like
pretty much.
Just anybody, you know. Alicia, are you still there?
No. So.
All right, so we're getting into the show now. So you got into it begrudgingly, you had said before. Mm-hmm. When did it turn for you?
Yeah, seeing a lot of boobies and sexy time.
The boobies are definitely like, that's something that like a lot of people like talk about. You hear like radio guys being like, have you guys seen this Game of Thrones? I mean, there's boobies everywhere. But like, and the boobies were definitely like a point of interest for me. Have you guys noticed though that the boobies have like stopped showing up?
Yeah.
No, they haven't. You want to know whose boobies I just saw?
Whose?
Missandei's.
Yeah. But
it used to be every episode, like they would go to like the what was Snape, the guy that had the brothel?
Not Snape, that's Harry Potter. You're talking about Littlefinger.
Littlefinger.
Why do they call him Littlefinger?
Because he's got a little finger. His name's Lord Baelish.
So he owned a brothel in like the first 2 seasons, and it was titties all the time. And now that they don't go to the brothel, like we see Hodor's dick once in a while, now we don't even have that anymore. And I feel like the show kind of, because people were talking about it so much, they like made an effort to not show so many titties.
Yeah, because there's enough tits in the, like, I think there's enough tits being shown, and I think they're saving the last season to make up for the lack of penis. I think there's going to be a shit ton of penis. And like, I'm excited for that.
Like
you get like all these titties and you get like 2 dicks. You get like 1.5 dicks.
She doesn't care who sits on the Game of Thrones. She wants to know whose dick she's going to see.
You have to call it the Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, the Iron Throne.
Which is just the name of the first book. The whole series is like...
Well, all it is just a bunch of swords melted together. Why does everybody want it so bad?
Because it's made of Valyrian steel.
It looks like the worst, most uncomfortable chair to sit on.
It's supposed to be. In the book, it's described as like, it reminds you of your responsibility, and you can never rest easy on it, because if you like relax on it, it'll cut you. So it always keeps you sharp.
Oh, see, that's stuff I didn't know about.
I really like the look of the throne at Dragonstone. Like how it's all kind of like sideways rock in it.
Yeah, I like the way they did Dragonstone in the show, for sure.
I thought that looked pretty cool.
All right, so back to boobies. So the chick that plays the dragon mom,
yes,
she said like halfway through the show, she's like, I don't want to get naked anymore.
Yeah, well, she had, now that it got really famous, she had the power to be like, can we stop? And
yeah,
good for her, dude.
They did show some side boob last season when she got down on Jon Snow, who, correct me if I'm wrong, is her cousin.
They are definitely related if you.
No, I think she's his aunt.
Well, they've kind of like shown it now, but
she's so what?
Like her brother, she's got two brothers, and what is it, Viserys, that was killed by Drogo, and then her other brother, whatever, Rhaegar, is that his name? I don't know.
Yeah,
Whatever fucking
he's the one that got killed during the rebellion.
Because he kidnapped, I'm doing the quotes, kidnapped Ned Stark's sister, Lyanna. But they were in love. He had his previous marriage annulled. They were in love. Then Lyanna got pregnant with Jon Snow. So Jon Snow is actually a Targaryen, which is Daenerys' brother's son, which makes Daenerys his aunt. Am I right? I think so. Yeah, so they're related. But cool. Targaryens have always bred with each other for like thousands of years. Like they only fuck each other. They only fuck Targaryens.
Is that how they get that white hair?
Yep.
Yeah, it's been like a long thing. And like she said, like she can't have children, but I think the thing is she can't have children with anybody but a Targaryen. So my thing is her baby is going to be on the Iron Throne. I don't think anyone else is.
No, I don't think there's going to be any kids coming from her.
I don't know, that'd be cool.
I thought the dragons were her kids.
They are.
And wait a minute, let's go way back. In the first season, was her brother fucking her?
No. He would like beat the shit out of her and abuse her, but he didn't fuck her.
And then he gave her to Khal Drogo to fuck.
Khal Drogo, yeah.
Carl.
He sold her for...
Khal Drogo, don't you guys remember? He's Dolph Lundgren's brother from Rocky IV, Khal Drogo. And he was like, I will break this pussy.
Yeah, he sells her for an army. And then he like makes demands. He's like, you gotta go now. Like we gotta go do it now. And they're just like, yeah, not so much.
And he would claim to be the last dragon because he interpreted it as, since he's the last male of the Targaryens, he's like, oh, I'm the last dragon. When in fact, in Valyrian, gender isn't specific. So she could also be the last dragon. But he didn't know that. And then she had the fire within her and was like, what's this feeling? My body's changing. I'm hitting like Targaryen puberty. And then she like, boom, pops out 3 dragons.
Right. Yeah. So is she like, so can she just not be killed by fire or can she not be killed at all?
Fire. Because she gets wounded in the books and stuff.
She's born from fire.
Wait, is she born from fire or was she born from a vagina?
She was born during a storm. That's why she's called Daenerys Stormborn. Born from.
I thought her name was Daenerys Targaryen, Queen of Dragons.
She has a whole list of titles. And stuff.
She's Mother of Dragons, Breaker of Chains, Daenerys Stormborn, the Unburnt, and some other bullshit.
Jesus H.
Queen of the Big Peen.
Well, okay, and also, weren't the dragons like dinosaur fossils, and then she touched them, and then dragons hatched?
They were eggs, and she throws them onto the funeral pyre of Khal Drogo when he dies, and then...
So could the dragons have his soul in them?
She feels the urge to like walk into the fire, and she walks right into his funeral pyre, and when it burns down the next morning, she's just sitting there with the dragons. But for most of this series, like, it's kind of cool, because dragons can be like such an ace in the hole, and like, you kind of like a...
well, we definitely are seeing that with
a ex machina, where it's just like a solution to every problem.
Right.
And all they do is cause her headaches. They never fucking solve anything for her.
Yeah, like the one dragon died, and then as if the White Walkers weren't badass enough, then now they got a dragon, and that motherfucking dragon shoots.
I haven't finished. I have 25 minutes left. Don't spoil it for me.
He brings the wall down.
You saw it. I watched it with you because you had to explain it to me. I was like, wait a minute. Why did this dragon turn on them? But okay, here's the other thing too. So up until White Walkers showed up in the show was almost kind of like there was not like a lot of magic and shit going on.
It's very subtle. Like there's no one like casting a spell. Even in the books, no one's like saying words and casting a spell. But there's these little things that like people can't explain. And there's these little things that happen. And then like you see like the Red Priestess, how she's like an old ass woman. But she puts that necklace on, looks fine as hell.
She's so sexy. Like I like seeing her boobies every time.
For sure, that redhead, you know?
Yeah.
But
she kind of looks like somebody that would have been like your 3rd grade math teacher.
No, and you must have had really hot 3rd grade math teachers.
You just rocked a name, like he said the name.
Miss Perry, she was in her 60s, and man, let me tell you.
Yeah.
She was terrifying.
I thought she was hot when she took off the necklace. Speaking of, I'm confused about, so when I watched it, her necklace, the jewel, went from red to like no light. So did that? I don't get.
It glows whenever
Does it
she's,
explain
like,
that in the
using it.
books at all? Like, is
No,
there anything
this
in the
is
books
so. This
about
is
that?
one thing that frustrates me about the books is when you set up a magic system. Well, there's two ways to do it. There's like the Lord of the Rings way where there's like Gandalf can do magic, but it's like never really explained. And that's the way Gurm went. He didn't set up a magic system with like rules and boundaries and like things that like, oh, this makes sense. This has to happen for this to happen. He'll just throw shit in there. Like she drinks the poison. Her cup gets poisoned in season 2, book 2.
Mm-hmm.
She drinks it right up. You see the throat stone glow, and she's totally fine. The other guy dies. It's like, yeah, that's obviously magic, but it never really gets explained, like what she did or how the stone worked or any of that. It's a very loose magic system.
So she like a super old hot chick trapped in a young hot chick's body.
I
That's
think
right, I
she just,
said
yeah,
it.
she
I
can
thought
like
she was
cast
hot
the
when she was
illusion, I
old.
think.
But does she have to swallow souls to like stay young? Yeah, or is it
It's
is
just-
it just an illusion?
It's just I don't know if it's just an illusion. Again, with the magic system, it's never really shown, but it's all because like she is. It shows that the god of fire, Azor Ahi, like has power in that world.
So she seduced that like king, remember? The one with the daughter that had an ugly half face?
Stannis Baratheon.
So like he like went down on her. Do you think that her pussy was like Werther's original and Ben Gay when he went down there? And he was like, what the hell? This doesn't seem right. And then she
He's better than his wife with the mustache, so he's probably pretty stoked.
So yeah, so what happened there?
I will say that the Lord of Light, that one thing we do know about this whole series is that has to be all true, obviously, because it's been proven.
Yeah, he's the only deity to be shown that like has power. So if like, and then obviously the White Walkers, who's ever with them,
Mm-hmm.
like the 7 gods that everyone worships in that world, like they never come around.
Nah.
You see the ancient gods, the weirwood, the trees, like they have the power. They have power of some sort, but
Yeah, because Bran gets like his O face every time he touches them.
Well, yeah, and so Bran
Hey.
can like see through crows. So
there is a cool thing you see in the books with another red priest who a guy gets his arm to where like it's so like infected it's gonna have to be amputated, and he like cures it and it becomes like a super strong arm. But it's a whole character who's not in the movie and not in the show.
well, and, like what's up with all that grayscale and stuff? Is that a disease or is that magic?
No, it's a disease. It's like the plague, but once you contract it, it just turns you to like into the stone man.
Right. But how come that guy got healed, didn't he?
Well,
Jorah Mormont?
Sam-
Yeah, he got healed.
Samuel Tarly like found a way to like start scraping that
Wait a
off.
minute. Samuel Tarly? Isn't that like Samwise Gamgee?
Whoa!
What?
These books are a ripoff.
My boss told me that Game of Thrones is like the whole series is a ripoff of Dungeons and Dragons.
That's really dumb to say because Dungeons and Dragons is a role playing game.
Hey,
where you
be
can do
careful. He might
anything
be
in the world
listening
you
on this
want.
podcast and I could get fired.
Well, Dungeons and Dragons is an awesome open world role playing game where you can do anything you want and be anyone you want, have that character do anything they want. So to say something is based off Dungeons and Dragons, like, does that mean just someone's thought of it before while they were playing the game? Yeah, probably. Does it
Anything
mean
they
that like
want.
he took a quest straight out of Dungeons and Dragons? Who knows?
All right, so Alicia, in 7 words or less, explain Game of Thrones.
7 words or less. To just sum up
Sum
all
up the
of Game
whole
of
thing
Thrones,
in one sentence.
all men must die.
Oh,
Oh, that's actually not bad. I was really hoping she was gonna gutter ball that one.
But our Morgulis. That's 2 words.
So, yeah. So where we are now is essentially we've watched this huge storyline. We've watched people rise and fall and fight. And the goal is for everybody wants the Iron Throne. And really the main storyline is the Lannisters? No.
No.
The Starks. It's really the Stark story. And the Stark kids are now back together finally because they got split up. And for 5 seasons, they've been off on their own doing different things. And now they've come back together. That's what the trailers are showing me. That's how I feel.
Jason, do you remember what happened in season 7?
Not really.
I would say that the main conflict in the whole series Everything else is just like side stories that like add into it. Is just the great war between the living and the dead. That's, I think, the main.
Well, that's one
Like
thing
that's
he
like
does.
that's
like,
your core, and then everything else is like Apple stuff.
that's one thing they did so well was they made everyone so focused on the Iron Throne, but there was a real problem north of the Wall. And Jon Snow, for several books, was like, "Hey, motherfuckers! Like, pay attention to what's going on up here." And everybody was like, "We don't fucking care, and we'll deal with it later, and we don't really believe you. Right now, we're worried about the throne." But she's right. Like now that wall's down, people are going to be like, "Oh shit, who cares who's on the throne?"
And now that
Like,
they
we don't
have a
fuck with it.
dragon, there's like, then it becomes an even greater conflict because, I mean, we've only seen what that White Walker dragon can do, which is tear down the wall with his not fire breath but ice breath.
Well, we saw what
So-
the White Walkers can do in that one battle that was like where they just wiped out
On Stony Island, yeah, on the
everybody.
island. And then as Jon Snow's rolling away, they just like re-raise their own dead.
I
and
really
his
kind of
dead.
was like,
I was
whatever for the
fuck.
White Walkers. Like, I was like, well, maybe they can beat them, maybe they can't. Until I saw that. And then I was like, they are fucked.
Yeah.
And then all the people they killed stand up and are White Walkers. And
Right.
I was like, holy shit.
Mhm.
And I was like, Alicia, what is happening?
So, I did learn. Okay, so speaking of like epic battles in the series, so what is B-Rye? What's your favorite battle? And don't say the one I'm gonna say, but what's your favorite battle out of the whole series so far?
It's hard to say because you can tell early on, like HBO didn't put a lot of their funding towards showing you the battles, so they would be like, "Here comes a battle," and then you just see everyone afterwards like, "Man, that was a really fucking shitty battle."
That was a battle, wasn't it?
So we've only seen like a few actual battles so far on the screen, at least. I know the one you're gonna say, I think, and that was not my favorite because of the whole like way it ended. And, like,
I got one.
go ahead.
Okay,
Mine's
Jason.
Battle of the Bastards. That kicked
Yes.
ass.
That's what
But I know that's the basic
Wait,
bitch
Is
answer.
that yours too? Is
But-
that everybody's?
No, I wouldn't even say that was my favorite because like the whole thing about the travel time, like how Sansa left to go get help.
Oh, who gives a shit about how long it took
wait.
to get there?
Well,
Like,
doesn't-
they set
I-
up how shitty that dude was so good and how awesome Jon Snow is, and then they fought.
What pissed me off is like the brother zigzag, man. You know, zigzag
Oh,
a little.
yes,
Someone's
that's
shooting
what I
fucking
was-
arrows at you,
All
and then
right, so
John's
I'm
just
not
out there
gonna
all by
lie,
himself. I
couldn't
was like, this is just getting a little out of hand. And I wouldn't care about the travel times, except they had set it up in the series as like this matters and
Nobody wants to see that.
I know, but it takes.
It's
like
already
3 weeks.
boring enough.
So wait, I took some notes on. Okay, this is how fucking nerdy I've been. So I took some notes on some of the because I just rewatched season 5, 6, and 7.
I hate to
in the
tell you,
last
Alicia. I appreciate that you took notes and everything, but that's how you're supposed to be a host on a podcast. Is that you're supposed to like watch something, take it in, have a thought about it, write some notes, and then talk about it on the podcast in a way that listeners would want to listen to it.
I
Wait,
prefer to
are you
just
saying
come in
my
and
notes
pretend
are
like I've seen
pointless?
things.
Brian comes in hard as a rock, hits me in the face with it, and is like, "Are we done now?"
Okay, fuck you guys. I'm out of here. Fuck this podcast.
You guys
Fuck
rip on
is
me like
stupid. I
12 or
got
13 more
25
times.
minutes
I
left
swear
of
to
Game
God,
of
I'm out of here.
Thrones to watch.
If you guys call me a name 5 more times, I'm leaving. No,
Okay,
Alicia,
continue.
please.
No, it's cool. Like
Show us
people
your
don't want
notes.
to hear it.
I want to hear
No.
your notes. I want to hear it.
They were funny notes, but like now, like I don't know if you deserve it. Okay, so I'm gonna say it anyway. So Battle of the Bastards. First note, 1, awesome. Second, everything not killing Jon Snow. Like I liked how the camera moved around him during the whole beginning of that, and you see all the arrows falling down, and it's all around him, and all that. Everything's missing him on purpose. 3, you know how what's his fucking name? Ramsay Bolton's army. They're all surrounding Jon Snow's army around like the dead bodies. So like all they can do is just close in on them. And so they have their shields up and they're like, and they all like move forward and just like take their spears and stab, killing more people, then move forward and just condensing that whole, like all of Jon Snow's like army and shit. So like they grunt when they do that. And I thought it was really funny because I was like, when they grunt and move forward, it sounds like me either when I'm shitting or when I'm having sex. And I'm like,
one of the reasons when you were talking about Jon Snow earlier, like dying, that's one of the reasons that I'm so fucking mad at George R. R. Martin is the last book that he wrote in 2011. So I think the same year the first season came out, ends with Jon Snow getting stabbed by all his buddies in the Night Watch. And it ends with Sansa trying to escape from Bolton by jumping off the wall into the snow. And those are the cliffhangers you get. And that in 8 years, like if this show had never come along, I would still be fucking waiting to be like, is Jon Snow dead or not?
Right.
Like, what the fuck is going on? I need to know. So, like, thank God for this show coming out because when I knew, it's like, he's got to come back, but you have no fucking clue what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And you never know with Gurn. Like, that dude, he kills someone at the end of the book, they're fucking dead. A lot of people between book 1 and 2 were like, Ned's not dead. Because he didn't show it explicitly. He just, like, the sword came down and there was, like, a gasp from the crowd. So people like, he'll be in book 2, dude. Don't worry about it. No.
Who do you think currently is still alive that could be dead?
Here's what I'm hoping we're gonna get to see Cersei just get fucking like a slow, painful death.
Yeah,
is what I'm really hoping to see. I'm hoping Jaime.
That'd be satisfying.
I think Jaime's gonna kill Cersei.
You know what I do too. I think he's gonna something's gonna click in his head because I think who is it?
I can't remember if they
from
brought it up.
Tyrell. What's her name? Lyanna?
Yeah.
Lyanna?
Yeah.
Her last words to him one of her last words to him were, she'll be the death of you.
Yeah.
And you can see in his face in that scene that he just he already could feel she will be the death of him.
He's over her shit.
Yeah, and he just seeing and then I just paused before I fucking decided to hang out with you doofuses. I paused where Cersei had just agreed to fall back or to tell her forces to fall back and go march toward the wall to help fight the White Walkers. And as Jaime's explaining to all the heads of the army, this is what we need to do. Go here, you go here, blah, blah, blah. And then they all leave and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I'm having our forces march toward the wall. And she's like, ha ha ha, you think I was serious about that? You gotta be fucking on some shit. And I was like, nah, we're gonna stay here, bitch. And then he's all like, what? She fucking nuts. And then I think that's where he's realizing for sure.
Well, one thing that they showed, I think they kind of showed in the series, but they explicitly stated in the books is he, you think of him, he's a piece of shit. He killed his own king. He's Kingslayer. No one trusts him. No, everyone thinks he's a piece of shit. But he never sleeps with anyone but her his whole life. He loves her.
Yeah, but it's his sister.
Right. But when he finds out that every time he's gone, she's just fucking everyone she can, that's really when I think Jaime's like, oh.
Do you think she's pregnant with his baby?
I don't know.
Do you think that's a real thing?
Yeah,
she's
and
pregnant.
it's going to come out with a third arm.
She's pregnant. Well, dude, all the kids,
butthole.
Joffrey, all of them are his. That's one thing that they show is
doing
the investigation.
Joffrey. That had to have been the most satisfying thing in the show was when Joffrey finally got
How many people were cheering when his face is just turning purple?
Yeah.
And everyone just cheering on this kid dying brutally on fucking screen.
And that fucking actor had to quit Hollywood because everybody hated him in real life.
Yeah, it's you did such a good job at acting that we fucking hate you and we're
you
not hiring you anymore.
That's crazy. He's in with the Tom Felton, Draco Malfoy.
Yeah,
everybody
exactly.
Hated him at first, and then
but he grew up and got all buff and changed his looks. So that's what, that's what fucking dude will have to do too. Joffrey.
Yeah, I think wasn't he 30 or something when he was playing Joffrey?
No, he was young.
No,
but,
I think I was.
He's gonna have to take tanning pills and become black and be Soul Man from the 1980s, and then everybody will be like, "Oh, this guy's such a great actor."
Our lawyers have just advised us that we do not in any way condone blackface on podcast.
Yeah, but if you paint it on, it's wrong. But if you
fine.
become black, it's then you're like Robert Downey Jr. You get nominated for an Academy Award.
Yeah.
You can only get away with that once. There can't be a Tropic Thunder 2.
All right, so I'm just gonna throw out
Hollywood. They would do it.
I'm just gonna throw out that I don't think Cersei would go down like that, where Jaime just stabs her and kills her. But I do think that they would stab each other at the same time.
Yeah,
They're just fucking stabbing each other in the fucking heart and in the chest and shit, and they both go down together.
I wouldn't mind that personally. I love his character arc because his entire identity was like, I'm the best swordsman in this world, and then like getting his sword hand cut off.
Yeah.
He's like completely had to change who he is.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I think it would be symbolic that if he were to stab the queen in the back as well, he'd be the king and queen slayer.
I like that.
That would be cool. But I think that before he dies, they have to at least show him and Brienne of Tarth like fuck. Like he has to get a stool and like just climb up there and just fuck the shit out of her.
No,
That's the one person in the show everyone's like, I don't want to see her naked.
I want Brienne and Tormund like to just fall deeply in love
I
with
do.
each other.
Because he is so in love with her, and I want.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
I love like every time she's around, he's just like, got that stupid look on his face. Like I love it.
For him, like he wants big, beefy, beastly kids, and I'm like, that's so cute. And he loves just how big she is, and just how like savage. You know, he wants that.
He wants a wife that can control him sometimes.
How did you guys feel about when she beat the mountain?
No.
The Hound.
The Hound.
The Hound.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nope.
The Hound.
Nope.
I knew you.
Fucking hated
I knew
it.
Brian wouldn't like that.
Fucking
I didn't
hated
like
that
it
part.
because I love both of their characters so much.
I was seriously nervous
when
when I watched that scene. I was like, I don't want either one of these to lose.
Well, people don't understand too. Like again, it's set up in the books where like the Hound is one of the scariest fucking guys, like top 3 scariest fucking dudes in that kingdom. And I just didn't like how he fucking went out like that.
Do you think he's gonna kill?
He's still around. You know, I think he's still around. But like,
No, he is still around for sure. We know
just
that
like
already.
I didn't like that he went down like that.
Right.
You know,
because it's a girl. Why are you such an asshole?
Because
because he's thrown down a mountain, and you're like, no, it's got to be a little bit more epic.
I just feel like they were breaking their own rules. Like she was shown to be pretty good, but she wasn't shown to be like on his level.
Right. So do you think that the Hound and the Mountain are going to get into it? Are we going to get to see that?
I've always thought that. I've always thought that he's the only person who can really stop his brother, and especially now that Gregor Clegane has become this like headless fucking Frankenstein monster.
So one thing I just watched was that the Hound told the Mountain when they were all meeting to discuss like being all together about defeating the army of the dead. He walked up to the Mountain and he was just like, you're gonna meet your fate, blah blah blah. And he said, I can't remember exactly what he said, and I just watched it like 30 minutes ago. It was something about like, but you've always known that's how you'll die, or some shit. Like you've always known what's coming, and you don't really. It's just one of those like, the fuck? What does that mean? And then he just walks off, and you don't hear it. Then next subject, and you're like, that's got to be something super important. So I wonder.
That whole scene was so well shot. And there was so much on the line. Like, as a director, I can't even imagine how much pressure for anybody who's watched 7 seasons of this fucking show. And for finally, all these characters that had never met, but still had all these relationships with each other, were coming together.
It's weird. It's hard for us because it's like, or it's easy for us because it's like we've known all their stories.
Right.
But they're not supposed to fucking know anything about each other. And we feel like we know each of them so personally. And then to see them all in the same room, it was really well done.
Yeah.
I liked it. I think it definitely like leaves you on the edge of your seat. You're just like, who's gonna die this time?
Well, I didn't think they were all gonna walk out of there like so. Like okay, like let's just walk out and go put the plan in action. I thought there was gonna be some backstabbing or some poisoning or like some shit.
Right.
Something.
All right. So this is what I want to know from all you guys, because the titties were such a big thing at first. Well, I'm always going to bring it back to the
keep
titties.
Bringing it back. Why didn't they put tits on the dragons?
I want to see. So I want to know, like, I want to see some more tits in this new season, in this final season. If we don't finally get to see Sansa's boobies, I'm going to be really.
She wasn't
really
18. She like just turned 18.
Well, now we're ready. Now she's there.
Married, she's married now, right?
I don't think so. Okay.
She's married to Joe Jonas.
John Holmberg fucked it up for me on Holmberg's Morning Sickness because he said, she's so sexy, and then he said she looks like Boy George, and now I can't get that out of my fucking head because she looks just like Boy George.
You're gonna ruin a perfectly good redhead for me. Thanks a lot, man.
Wait, who is that?
I forgot you're 12. Boy George was a famous man from the 80s who used to dress like cross-dress and stuff. He's a very famous gay man. He was in Culture Club. He's saying, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, chameleon.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
I didn't get it until you sang it. Now I get it.
Yeah,
Now it's,
so she
damn
looks,
it.
her face looks just like him, but she's super sexy. I still want to see her boobies. And I'd also like to see Peter Dinklage hang
I wanna
low-bearing
see-
fruit. I want to see
Me too.
how low to the ground it actually comes.
Trust me, me too. I want to see
if
Jon
Wee
Snow's...
Man from Jackass is
big
any
old dick
indication, not low at all.
Not that far. But I don't know. I think Dinklage has got it where it counts.
He could.
In the show, he's
He's
always
married.
fucking, like, grown-ass women.
He's got money.
Would you
Nah,
fuck a midget
he's-
for money, Alicia?
Yes. Oh.
Would I fuck a midget for money?
First off, I think we weren't supposed to say midget.
What?
I
I don't
think
know.
little person, I
I
think.
think that's gotta be offensive too, though.
I would say
You're
it's
calling them a
offensive.
person, but you're calling them like, hey, little person.
I think I'd rather be called a midget than a little person.
I would
Little
rather
person
be called a
sounds
midget
Like
than
I feel like it's how you say it. If you're like midget,
Yeah.
like come here, midget,
That's like-
then it's like
more
yeah.
like-
But no, what I want to talk about though is I want to hear your guys' theories on how Game of Thrones ends. All right, Alicia, what is your how do you think it's gonna end? Who's gonna take the Iron Throne?
I got no fucking clue. Like I've got hopes,
All right, well, who do
but
you hope?
I've learned with this show not to have hopes. So I can tell you who I know is going to die. Two people I know for sure will die. Is Melisandre, the Red Woman, and Varys, and they're gonna both die in Westeros because she tells him at the edge of a cliff. She says, "I have to die in this strange country, just like you." She tells that to Varys, and because she's seen it in the flames, so she knows. I'm hopeful that Daenerys and Jon Snow both get it together.
That's
but
for
I mean,
sure
that's-
not happening. That would be the basic bitch like ending.
That's like the happy fairy tale.
Yeah, that's what we all hope for.
Yeah,
but in
there's-
reality, it's the Night King.
There's no way. You know,
I-
dude, that's what I was gonna say
really
too.
think
I
the
think
Night King's gonna
I'm
get it.
hoping because every single show, every single book, like has there's reasonable endings to it. Like I think it would be great for Game of Thrones to just be like, fuck you, we're gonna continue the trend of killing off your favorite characters. This unstoppable horde really is unstoppable, and
You know
fuck
how
them
in
all.
school they had to have counseling for the ending of Harry Potter.
Well,
Like,
I've heard
what's
the same thing
something-
for the Game of Thrones. They're saying that online. They finished it, and all the cast is upset, and they're like, "No one is going to like this."
Wow, I
It's
didn't hear
because
that.
the Night
Yeah,
King's
it's gonna be
gonna
awesome.
win.
I hope, dude. I would have really seriously applaud Night King on the Iron Throne.
Yeah, that would
Westeros
be-
overrun. Fucking everyone. I would be like, hey, that took balls. Good for you.
Yeah,
Do you think there's more to like the whole story, the background about the White Walkers and the children of the forest?
Yeah,
I think
like,
that's going to be
You
one of the
only see a
spin-offs
little
too.
bit. You only see just the tiny bit when Bran's doing his, I don't know, fucking of the trees thing.
like we know that they were being pushed back. The children of the forest were being pushed back by men. They felt like they had to fight back somehow.
I'm
and
sorry,
they-
but how can human beings defeat the children of the corn?
because they just outnumbered them and they had steel weapons, and it was like steel versus like stone weapons. And I mean, you're talking like 100-to-1 numerical advantage there.
I don't know. I feel like it's like, oh, hey, they made these steel swords. Maybe we should too. Also, they have fireballs and magic and fucking other bullshit. Maybe I need to read the books to know the backstory of them, but in the show you only get like just a very small part of how these White Walkers came to be.
Well, I agree with Brian. I think it's going to be the White Walkers. But if I had to pick who I wish got it, I hope that it's Dinklage. And I hope that he has to scoot like a little step stool up to the throne, and then he like hops up there.
Fuck
Do you
all
think it's gonna be like everybody's in ashes and then he's the last Lannister and he does
Yep.
get up there?
Yep.
So there's also a theory though that he's a Targaryen as well.
Really?
Yeah. So his mom, it's known in the books that goddamn, what's his dad's name?
Robert. No.
Tywin.
Chad.
Tywin.
Tywin Lannister's wife was raped by the Mad King when the Mad King came through to his castle. He coveted Tywin's wife, and it was well known. And that one night when Tywin was gone, he came through to the castle and raped her. And then that's why he hates Tyrion so much, is because he knows it's not his son.
Why wouldn't he have killed him though?
I don't know. But in the books, he's got one purple eye and one brown eye. Like, he has two different colored eyes, and everyone's like, oh, it's because he's a dwarf, he's a freak. But it's like, it's because he's part Targaryen. And so the whole three-headed dragon thing is him, Daenerys, and Jon. Like, they're the three Targaryens left.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And I think it'd be really cool to see him. Well, there's not three dragons left anymore, but I before the dragons died in this latest season, I was like, I bet we're going to see Jon Snow and Daenerys and Tyrion all in a dragon. Because in the books, all he wants to ever do is, like, he's like, I wish I just had a dragon. I was obsessed with him when I was a kid.
Well, that makes sense if he's a dragon, because he released them from their chains. Jon Snow was able to touch them and do all like, hey, I love dragons. Yeah, I'm gonna scratch you under your chin, and then
who's a good boy?
Nice.
So, all right, now it's everybody's favorite time of the show, where we do marry, fuck, kill, and fight.
What? I didn't know about this.
There's a fight on the end now.
Sweet. Okay.
All right,
Brought to you by
so
Bryan Gunn.
Brought to you by Bryan Gunn Guns.
Tell me who you'd fuck, marry, and kill. This game is the definition of thrill. You have to pick, you have to choose. If you don't, you will lose. Tell me who you'd fuck, marry, and kill. Who you'd fuck, marry, and kill.
Fight!
Brian, you go first. Marry, fuck, kill, fight.
Marry, fuck, kill, fight.
Cersei.
Kill.
God damn it.
Sorry.
Cersei, Sansa. Who's Peter Dinklage?
Tyrion. I'm gonna fuck that little dwarf.
And Bran of Tarth.
God damn it. God, you're making this one tough. I'm definitely gonna kill Cersei slowly. I'm gonna. I hope she's 18.
Married Tyrion.
Obviously, I'm gonna fuck Sansa. I'm gonna marry Tyrion. I'm gonna kill Bran. I'm gonna fight Bran.
You're gonna marry Tyrion?
How cool would it be to hang out with Tyrion all the time? Marriage is just hanging out with your best friend.
Right.
I feel like you can fuck him anywhere too. You just
Right.
like hold him.
He's down. He's down. His sexuality is a lot more fluid back then, and he's not getting away from me. So
Yeah, but he's got serious wine dick. He's always drinking wine.
Like he won't get soft. Like he's used to it. He's immune. So.
Yeah, he's just gonna be going dwarf on your ass all day.
yeah, I'm definitely. I want to hang out with him all the time. The guy's witty. I want to fight Bran because she's tough to fight, and I just
She
don't.
took down the Hound.
I have to redeem the Hound's honor. And
But also,
fight
like,
a
you get a
woman.
boner by her fighting you.
Huh?
You get, like, a really big boner from her fighting you, and then you could just, like, turn around and fuck Tyrion.
I always have a boner when I fight, so.
So, win-win.
Yeah.
All right, Alicia, here comes your choices.
Here it
She gets different choices.
She gets different choices. She gets Jon Snow.
Fuck.
She gets Tyrion. She gets the Mountain. And Cersei.
Fuck the Mountain.
Should have made it Joffrey.
What? You're gonna fuck the Mountain?
Well, yeah.
Because he could probably give it... He would, like, choke me.
Yeah, and then your eyeballs would pop out like that Spaniard.
And then that would be it. Then it wouldn't matter. The rest wouldn't matter because I'd be dead. No. No, okay. So I'm sorry, but I would marry Jon Snow because he's a Targaryen and he got the whole North to rally with him.
Yeah, but you have
He's
another
a smart-
Targaryen.
He's a smart
A
dude.
little Targaryen.
Would you like a little Targaryen in you?
Okay, I would marry Tyrion, not fuck him. Fuck many times Jon Snow, because look at them lips. And then kill the Hound. I mean, the Mountain. That's 3 glasses of wine in. Kill the Mountain, because then everybody would fear me. They'd be like, oh, that's the bitch that killed the Mountain. I'm like, that's right, I'm the bitch that killed the Mountain. And then, what is it? Fuck, marry, kill, and fight? And then I'd fight Cersei just to, like,
mud?
slap her.
Would you guys mud
I
that
like-
shit?
Yeah, would you guys mud fight?
Yeah, Probably. Get some.
I feel like after the fight, you guys would both have to do that like walk of shame where you had to nakedly walk and people threw fruit at you and spit on you and called you a trash whore.
I'd like eat it all though. I'd be like, nah. Food.
You're wasting that food. That's a perfectly good orange. Just peel the old half off.
I love how people did
that's
that.
what I
They were
thought
like, there's
during
gonna be
that
no
scene. I was like,
repercussions
"You're
for this when she just gets to the palace.
Yeah, that was.
You guys knew she blew up that whole fucking building, right? Like, this is Cersei we're talking about. I'm just gonna throw this fucking rotten piece of fruit right in her face, call her a whore. I'll be totally fine.
All right, Jason, who gives you yours? Can I give you yours?
Sure.
All right. Fuck,
I don't
marry,
normally
kill, and
get it.
fight. Tormund.
Who's that?
The red-haired guy who loves Bran.
Oh, okay. That guy is sexy.
Jorah Mormont.
Who's that?
He's the one that had the dragon scale.
The stone skin.
Scale.
Oh, that guy's yucky.
And then Samwell Tarly, who's the one that cured him.
Too.
And the Hound. Mr.
And-
Dirty Face himself.
The Red Woman. I'll give you one.
That one's so tough.
Nobody got Khaleesi.
Khaleesi's
Yeah,
too easy.
Fuck. Oh, you want to fuck her? You want to marry her?
Even I would just be like, nah, I'd fuck her. I wouldn't marry her. Just
Well, you
fuck
gave
her.
me a tough one because, yeah, like every time we'd go to bed at night, I'd be like snuggling up to her and it'd just be an old wrinkly ass. I'd be like, you took your necklace off, didn't you?
I told you never to do
You
that.
always wear your jewelry to bed.
I'm gonna super glue this shit to you.
Yeah, I'm going to say that I have to fuck her because I wouldn't want to marry her because, yeah, I would have to... she'd wear her necklace while we fucked, but probably not all the time when we got married. I would definitely marry Samwise.
No, it's
Samwell.
Samuel Ganji. I would definitely marry him because he's such a sweet dude. Like, he's so nice to that ugly tart that he hangs out with the buck teeth.
She can't close her lips. I fucking hate that, dude. Just close your lips.
Yeah. So, but like, he likes to read a lot, and he seems like a really sweet guy. And he dresses in black all the time, so it really it makes him look slimmer. So I like that about him.
So he's conscious about himself.
And I would fight that scaly face fucker because he would kill you. No, he wouldn't, dude. He's a puss.
Yeah, he would.
He's just like murdering people the whole series. That's what
I
he
know.
does.
He's not that tough though. He's totally in love with the mother of dragons. He wants to be the brother of dragons. And I would just seriously I would threaten her, and he would get all upset. And then you're very distracting to look at, Alicia. It's good for the podcast listeners that they don't have to see you twirling your nipples while I am trying to talk.
You're so saggy.
They're so saggy and so little.
Those have just been used so.
Oh, it's so ugly. And then, what was my last choice? I gotta kill somebody. I'll kill that other guy. Oh, the red-haired guy.
Oh, Tormund?
He'd be really tough to kill, though. He's pretty badass.
He shit you out.
All right, that just about wraps it up. Don't forget to stick around for Alicia's Kardashian song, which is amazing. And do you guys have anything you want to say to the people?
Suck my butthole.
Jason's gonna post the right Predator musical on the website.
Oh yes, apparently I posted there. That's corrections and omissions. I posted the wrong Predator musical. Who knew? There were more than one.
I never heard that one before, and I loved it though.
It's interesting.
But it's not
you
as
call
good
me
as
the
the one I was
disgusting
talking
trash
about.
person, but
All right, so that's it for Talking Poop this week. Make sure to check us out on our website, talkingpooppodcast.com. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook and all that bullshit, Twitters and whatnot, and YouTubes and blah, 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 blah. Thanks for following us and listening to us. Talking Poop. We'll catch you next time. We out!
Who has more cash flow than Oprah and J-Lo? Who's got a house past the hills? Who sinks their money in Botox and clubbing? Who's always dressed to kill? I've been kept up in all the shows, but I've never seen one sober. And every time a season ends, I cry because it's over. Kardashians, Kardashians, give me all the cash you can. I need some dough and I'm kinda funny, so please just give me all of your monies. Kardashians, Kardashians, give me all the cash you can. There's a lot in your family and I don't like gambling, so open your wallets, fill up my pockets a lot. Da da da, da da da, da da da, oh la, da da da, da da da, da da da. Kim married Kanye, can't wait for the sex tape. Your bank account's filled to the brim. I'm driving a shit car to Payless and Walmart. I'm happy but can't help feel that if you put all of your cash right in the palm of my hand, I'd spend it on some useful things to be a comedian. Oh, Kardashians, Kardashians, give me all the cash you can. I need some dough and I'm kinda funny, so please just give me all of your monies. Kardashians, Kardashians, give me all the cash you can. There's a lot in your family and I don't like gambling, so open your wallets, please fill up my pockets a lot. Da da da, da da da, da da da, oh la, da da da, da da da, da da da. I've been kept up in all the shows, but I've never seen one sober. And every time a season ends, I cry because it's over. Kardashians, Kardashians, give me all the cash you can. I need some dough and I'm kinda funny, so please just give me all of your monies. Kardashians, Kardashians, give me all the cash you can. There's a lot in your family and I don't like gambling, so open your wallets, fill up my pockets a lot. Da da da, da da da, da da da, oh la, da da da.